Hey everyone, welcome back to Bryan's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. This is the next episode of Bryan's Bedtime Stories. I hope everyone is doing well. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Wanderer, a hiker who just decided to go out, hike wherever he wanted, and hiked all throughout the United States, came across a lot of great things, a lot of great beauty. This hiker, known by the name of Myrsik, was a young man. He wanted to explore life. He wanted to see all the world had to offer. So he started his adventure in Thailand. He moved on to other places. He met a wonderful woman, and they just started exploring all these beautiful places. They went from one side of the world to the next, enjoying every minute of their lives together. At one point, they came back to America. They were exploring some places out on the West Coast, or the western states of the United States, if you will. They ran into all kinds of things: rain, showers, snow, but they were having the time of their lives. At one point, Susan actually got up early and wanted to go for a walk by herself. Unfortunately, she ended up getting turned around, lost, as people tend to do when they're in places that they're unsure of or haven't been to. However, Myrsik knew that she had gone out, so he went out looking for her. He was thankfully able to catch up with her. He found her. They then had the task of getting back to their original camp. Thankfully, they made it back safe, and they were able to continue their adventures, exploring all places like Montana in the vast wilderness. They also wanted to explore Idaho. They were just having the time of their lives. Myrsik knew, though, that life was not always a work of art, that the moment couldn't last. He knew that Susan wasn't feeling well. He didn't know what was going on with her. Unfortunately, she had contracted giardia from unclean water, which they always filtered their water as best they could, but these things happen in this kind of environment, in these type of adventures. The couple continued to their hike, and even though Susan was feeling terrible, they did have some Imodium and some other medication that helped the symptoms. They tried to enjoy all the moments that they were having. However, at one point they did have to go into a town and get medical help for Susan for her giardia. Now, for those of you that don't know what giardia is, it's a bacteria that you can get from drinking unfiltered water. It can really knock you off your feet. It's a terrible thing, so please, everybody, always filter your water properly. It took Susan a couple of weeks to recover from the giardia. However, the couple kept going out on more adventures. They had gone through different parts of Idaho, were hiking all over the parts of the Midwest, the West. They were just having the time of their lives, especially now that Susan was feeling better. They met up with some other travelers too and shared their experiences, just as anyone would when you meet up with travelers like that. It's always fun to camp, talk around campfires, and hear other people's experiences. At one point, the couple got separated. Myrsik still has no idea how this happened. He was absolutely going out of his mind trying to find Susan. He did a backtrack. He retraced all of his steps. He figured that his best option was probably just to stay put, hopefully that Susan would find her way back, not knowing where she may have gone or what may have happened to her. This caused, obviously, a huge amount of anxiety, until he came upon this man who was an older gentleman, a hiker. He had a lot of really good gear. He said that he had seen Susan. He helped Myrsik tracked back down to a place where he found Susan. She was sitting on a cliff, basically. She was not feeling well. She had had a fever of over 104, sort of just lost track of everything. At this point, obviously, the couple's trip had turned into not so much of a nice thing. However, he was able to calm her down. He was just so grateful that he had found her. He was able to use his SATCOM device to call for help, which took about 8 hours. Eventually, the ambulance arrived. She was taken to a local hospital where she spent a day, after which she insisted that they go back out and continue their adventures. She was insistent, though. She wanted to find what she called the Watcher in the Woods, the old man that had found her and taken care of her. She said that he had given her water, was trying to figure out what was going on with her. She just felt so indebted to him and wanted to just find him to be able to say thank you. Of course, Myrsik had no idea how to find this man. They just went back into the general area where they had originally seen him to try and find him. She didn't even want to offer him money. She just wanted to offer her gratitude and thanks for helping her through just this very, very difficult time. Helping her also get back to her partner, the love of her life, Myrsik. The couple traveled for a couple more days, camping and hiking through the vast wilderness, finding many beautiful places to camp, beautiful countrysides, meeting up with other campers and hikers that were in the area. They did finally meet up with the old man. His name was Bob. He told them that he had lost his wife years before. He had decided to live a life in the wilderness by himself because he just couldn't take the loss of his wife, the love of his life. The couple broke down in tears because they felt the same way about each other. They just couldn't believe that this wonderful man had been there like an angel to help them. Myrsik spent the rest of the day talking with him, fishing, talking about life, their experiences. He learned that Bob had actually spent most of his years living in big cities like New York and various other cities, working corporate jobs, that Bob stated to Myrsik that was basically like living in a state of perpetual deja vu and hell, because he just couldn't stand the traffic, the pollution, the rat race, as what Bob called it. He was never more happy when him and his wife had moved out into Montana to a ranch that they both loved. Unfortunately, Bob's wife had been diagnosed with cancer, and she eventually passed away from pancreatic cancer, which, as I mentioned, was devastating to Bob. But Bob always knew that he was meant to be around and help people, and he was very, very grateful that he was able to help Susan bring back Myrsik and Susan together. Even though they probably wouldn't see each other again, this was a very important thing to Bob. People like this are, in my opinion, angels. This is how I like to live my life too. I always want to help people, and the fact is that my heart goes out to Bob. I hope he's still doing well. The two continued their talk. Eventually, Bob went off. He was an expert fly fisherman, and fly fishing is an art. It is very difficult. I love fly fishing. I actually practice out in my courtyard. It's one of those things that you just feel at peace and in tune with nature. Myrsik was so taken by his stories of fly fishing and living in Montana that he started fly fishing himself. He would later recount that he never felt more at peace or more close to God or just in a state of complete relaxation when he was fly fishing. Myrsik and Susan continued to take their camping and hiking trips, had a wonderful life together. They eventually got married. Susan decided to dedicate her life to medicine. She went back to school, eventually became a doctor, is still working as a diagnostician, to this day. Myrsik is retired at this point. They still have a loving, wonderful relationship. They still recount, though, that those times when they would go out hiking and they're exploring of the U.S. and the Great Mountains were some of the best times of their entire life. And they relish those moments. They think about them all the time. They also do keep in touch with Bob, which Susan has called the Watcher in the Woods. He has also, over the years, saved a few other hikers after getting lost or other various situations. He's a great man. Unfortunately, he lost his wife. That's obviously a terrible tragedy, but he's still out there doing God's work and being good to people. Thank you all for watching. As always, I really appreciate all your feedback and comments. If you'd like to leave a donation, all my information is in the description. My Venmo, my PayPal, everything goes a long way. Special thank you to co.ag for providing the background music. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me to the end. Sorry this Bryan's Bedtime Stories wasn't a longer version. I haven't been feeling well. The medication and lhymes has really been kicking my butt lately, so I'm doing my best, but I do apologize that this video wasn't longer, but this is a true story. It was a story that happened to a couple of friends of mine. In any event, I always appreciate all your feedback, your support. If you want to leave me any comments or messages, as always, I'll have my email address in the description. You can send me pictures for calendar submissions or any case suggestions that you'd like me to do, or any feedback, constructive feedback, anything that you'd like to talk to me about. I always look forward to hearing from you. I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.